Support for the CivicSciTV network comes from readers, listeners, and viewers like you, and organizations such as the New York City Economic Development Corporation that works with local communities to create dynamic and accessible neighborhoods across New York City. Explore the network by visiting CivicSciTV.org.
Mapping the global landscape of civic science by dissecting new insights from researchers, practitioners, and leaders in academia, government, for-profit, and nonprofit organizations. This is Questions of the Day with Fanuel Muindi.
Previously on Questions of the Day.
Build relationships with each other and in cultural studies. So I'm the director of the Perennial Cultures Lab at the Land Institute. And it's part of our work in growing these more transdisciplinary research projects. I started to collaborate with one of our plant breeders who was interested in growing the plants he was working with in a lot of different locations. And meanwhile, I was looking for ways to support people who wanted to have more hands-on experiences with these plants, and also to learn more about the stories of relationship that people were forming with future crops. Because for a crop to become a crop, it not only needs to
Kind leadership is important.
Kind leadership is important.
Kind leadership in the world today is important because
it allows us to look beyond our differences and look towards a solution together.
In this segment, we talk with Dr. Christine O'Connell, who is the Executive Director of the Brooklyn-based Riley's Way Foundation. This is essentially a progress report update from her initial appearance on the Questions of the Day program 2 years prior. Riley's Way mission is to provide young people with the programs, leadership training, coaching, and community they need to build a better world that values kindness, empathy, and connection. In this conversation, Christine shares the new updates and insights through the lens of their 4 strategic goals.
Christine, welcome back to the program.
It's so great to be back.
It's been 2 years since you last joined me on this very program talking about Riley's Way Foundation. Time has passed, a lot of time has passed. I wanted to ask you, for those who did not watch that conversation, when you are telling people who have never heard of Riley's Way Foundation, what do you tell them?
I tell them we are a youth development and social impact organization focused on investing in and supporting the next generation of kind leaders.
Okay, and do they get that at that point? What question do they follow on after you say that?
I think a lot of people want to know what that means and what does kind leadership look like, because, it's a concept that has gained a lot of traction in the past few years. There's been a lot of research that has come out showing companies are more successful, more innovative when their leaders are kind and operate from a place of empathy and connection and authenticity. And they do more money, they make more money, they're more innovative, you have happier employees. So we think kind leadership is the basis of it all, and that's what's going to change the world, because we need more kind leaders out there in every industry, whether it be science, STEM, politics, government, communities, business. We need more people to really embody those values.
And is that simple? Kindness.
It's Kindness. Yeah, it's that simple. And it's interesting because leadership, I came up through, as you know, the science field, and it's a very top-down leadership model in STEM and academia. The peers who are above you are always judging who gets to go to that next level. And research has shown that actually doesn't encourage creativity, that doesn't encourage the best work from teams. What encourages the best work from teams is really bottom-up leadership and building community and really amplifying the voices of your team and the people you work with, and building a community where people feel safe talking about their ideas. They feel like they can bring their whole selves to work. And that feel like they're listened to. And I think those are qualities that make a good leader, and shifting that paradigm in this country from this top-down leadership model that we've grown up with to more of this bottom-up servant leadership, kind leadership model is what we need in every industry. And I think if we change that, we are going to change the world.
Yeah. And so you invest, if I can use that word, and
Yep.
correct me if I'm wrong later, on young people, right? To start these initiatives. Tell us about that, because this is at the core, really, right? The
Yeah.
call for kindness. Tell us more.
So we work with high school and college students all over the country, and we believe young people and investing in young people is key to making that change happen. If you work with students when they're young, when they're in high school, when they're in college, there are these big pivots in their life. They're going from high school to college. They're going from college to their first jobs, and a lot of people, when that happens, they lose their values of social impact, of kindness, of empathy along the way, because they see that not being modeled from the top. So what we do is we really build those values as a core, as a base to who they are. And we do that by really investing in them. So our model is based on this idea of purpose. So we help you find your purpose. And in order to be a kind leader, you have to have a purpose outside of yourself. And it's going to be different for everyone. And we don't want to be prescriptive about that. But think about what you see in your community that breaks your heart and how you can make a difference on that issue. So we like to think we give people the agency to make a difference on that issue through funding their idea, but also the next part of our model is leadership development and skill development. So teaching you how to be a leader, how to build teams, how to network, how to communicate effectively, how to get press around your issue, how to use social media. And then the third part of what we do, which is actually the most important, is build community. Building a sustainable community of your peers that you can go back to and lean on, especially when times get tough, or when you're questioning things, or when you're going for a job interview, that you can come back to and ask for advice and lean on for support. We found is the most important part of what we do, is building that community.
I see. So there's a lot in there. And as we were talking offline, and we need to have you back multiple times, actually. And I promise you, next time it won't be a 2-year gap. We'll have you sooner. Because one of the things I saw on your website, you have these strategic goals that you've
Yep.
set, right? And so I wanted to ground this conversation and look at the development and progress you've made through that lens, okay? And at least that will set us the stage for additional conversation in the future. So you have 4 strategic goals, and
Yep.
let's pull those up right now. And one of them, deepen the impact of our programming. You have also grow your presence nationally. Another one, strengthening the Riley's Way community. And then the last one, build the organizational infrastructure for growth. So I would like to just go through each one by one, and then you can tell us sort of the progress you've made since when you were last on the program, and then anything new that you want to build the following year. So let's just start with deepening the impact of your programming. We talked a little bit about the funding that you do to the young people. Tell us more about that. What has been the growth in the past 2 years since you were last on the program?
So we have 3 main programs. Our national flagship program is the Call for Kindness. Then we have our chapter program, and then we have our youth leadership retreats. So I'll talk a little bit about each of those. The flagship program, the Call for Kindness, that is our open grant competition every year, where if you are a high school or college student anywhere between the age of 13 and 23, you have an idea to make your community a better, kinder place, whether it be an existing idea you want to build on or a brand new idea that you don't know where to start, you can apply for funding. But it's not just funding, it's a whole year professional development fellowship. And you have a cohort of other young leaders. This year, we're giving out 45 projects, and that you can have multiple people on projects. So it usually is about 80 to 100 fellows. So you get to know all of those fellows, and we bring them together monthly for skill building sessions or networking sessions. And then we do one in-person leadership retreat each year, which is that's something that we've really found is incredibly effective in the past 2 years, is having that in-person time together. In fact, we just got back from Nashville, Tennessee about 2 weekends ago, where we had 145 young people learning together, building friendships, going through workshops, learning to be more effective change makers, and coming out with these lifelong friendships. And one of the things we found is really building the connections between the past fellows and the current fellows. So we offer opportunities for past fellows to come back and be mentors or to lead workshops for the current fellows. So you always have this flywheel back into the program, and it creates it's a huge ripple effect where they go. So what we've done in the past 2 years with that program is really doubled down on our curriculum and having it match our model of youth leadership and bringing a youth voice in and connection, but also bringing adults in too, adult experts, and creating a whole mentorship program there with adult experts in different fields. So we're giving people the connections and the mentors that might be really helpful professionally as well. We've increased the size of the grant. It used to be $3,000, and now you can request up to $5,000, which is really exciting. And then we've increased.
But actually, you had said you wanted to grow it last time. You said you wanted
Yes, we were thinking about it. We made it happen. Yeah, and then we've just increased the number of awards each year. So this year we're going to be awarding 45 awards, and it's actually open right now. So if you have an idea, March 9th, the fellowship is closing, and we'll be announcing the new winners in the new class on in early May. So it's really exciting to see what's happened there, how that has evolved, how that has built. And I think one of the major reasons we've been so successful is we really center what we do on the idea of youth leadership. I think a lot of foundations, organizations that are youth serving don't operate from the bottom up. And we try and do that. So we created a whole youth advisory board that has their co-chairs actually sit on our actual board. And there's members of the youth advisory board on every committee on the board, and they have a voting spot. They have a voice. They help, create the direction of our programs. They're involved in the strategic planning process. In fact, we just had a meeting last night, which was exciting, thinking about what the next 3 to 5 years are going to look like. So we really try and build a youth voice into everything we do. And we've kind of doubled down on that in the past 2 years. And I think it's helped our programs to grow, to mature, to really be more impactful.
Yeah. And last time you mentioned, once you're Riley's way, you're always a Riley. I think that you said into that.
You never graduate from Riley's way, is what we like to say. And that's one of the things we've invested in the past 2 years too, is our alumni network. So, we are we've been around for 10 years, but really only the past 6 years we've been working with high school and college students. We had a major shift in 2019 of our focus. So the students we work with are starting to graduate college now and go into their first jobs. In fact, one of our council chapter members, Thais, just graduated Cornell last year, which was my alma mater, and came back, and we hired her as a program coordinator. And I think that's the best compliment of an organization, when somebody that you worked with comes back and wants to work for you. So we're starting to see that, and it's exciting, and we want to continue to engage them, and they want to continue to be engaged. So we're thinking about how we bring them together so they continue to have that community as they grow throughout their careers. So they're continuously reminded of, I have to be a kind leader, whether that means I'm in finance being a kind leader, whether that means I'm a doctor being a kind leader, whether that means I am a community leader or a nonprofit leader. It doesn't matter. You bring those values with you wherever you go. So there's a lot of mentoring programs going on. We try and bring people together for in-person meetups. Our new exciting thing this year, which might seem small, is creating a coffee fund for our students and alumni. So if you're going to visit a college and we have an alumni there, you go meet up, we'll pay for a coffee for you guys to meet, because we really believe the deep work is done just by connecting in friendship, and carrying on those friendships. So we've implemented a lot of things like that for our alumni community, which is exciting.
I just love this, going back to the basics, right? Connectivity, connection.
Connecting. Yep.
Right.
So we all crave it.
Yeah, we all crave it, especially now. This bleeds nicely into your second and third goals, strategic goals, right? Growing your presence nationally and then strengthening the Riley's Way community. Can you tell us more about that, and any metrics that are telling you, especially I was going to ask you, how big is this alumni network? So can you talk about this goal 2 and 3 with that mindset?
So our alumni network now, I think, is over 1,200 strong, which is really exciting, coming from our 3 programs. And again, we just want to continue to engage them and build that community. And I think what makes our alumni community so powerful is they're all kind leaders, and they're all working in different fields, but taking those skills and those values with them to wherever they go. We've also tried to really expand our presence nationally, and that was that's been one of our core goals, is to expand our presence nationally. And we've done that by working with media. We've had a piece on Good Morning America. We've worked and wrote opinion pieces in Forbes. I've written a few columns for Psychology Today talking about the science of kind leadership and why it's actually important, and bringing that research to the forefront. And I think another way we've been able to grow nationally and strengthen our presence is by partnering with other organizations. So we've had some incredible partnerships over the past 2 years. Ashoka, we've been, talking with them recently, and they have a new youth initiative. Born This Way Foundation has been a great partner of ours. But this year, for the first time, we had a partnership with Google around World Kindness Day, and our community helped pick out videos and games on their Google Play that goes out to teachers that help build kindness muscles. So that help build empathy, that help build kindness, that help build leadership skills in youth. So, we're starting to see what we do now on a national stage, and that's really exciting.
And so if someone wants to read up more, because you mentioned you publish a few of these pieces, where can they go to find this information?
They can go to our website, which has a lot of the media on it. Psychology Today, the blog is called Generation Kind, which talks about the science of kind leadership, and that's one of the pieces I've written. But we feature a lot of our press on our website, which is rileysway.org.
Is there a metric that keeps you up at night? I may have asked you this last time, but I'm curious if that has changed. What metric in all of this? Because you guys, I'm assuming, are swimming in the sea of metrics. Okay. Tell us
We are.
what is keeping you up at night.
One that's keeping me up at night is thinking about all of the people. Our call for kindness fellows are incredible. Like I said, we have 80 to 100 a year. We have a community of over 400 alumni there alone. But thinking about all the people that don't necessarily get the award. Last year, we had over 700 applications, and we gave away 45 projects. And there's a lot of people out there that care about doing good in the world, that care about social impact. So I am always thinking, and our board and our team is always thinking about, how do we engage them? So we might not have enough money to give everyone a call for kindness fellowship. And, it's important to have the cohort be small enough where they can bond and really connect with each other. So you don't want it too big either, but there's people who care out there. And so that's honestly the statistic that keeps me up, is how do we keep engaging them, and how do we keep creating this ripple effect of people who care about kind leadership, and honestly, this movement around the country of people that are pushing for it.
Yeah. And I wonder, what have the fellows themselves been telling you? Is there something that kind of comes to mind? But especially, what more do they want with the programming? Because the programming is virtual. They do get to meet, I don't know how frequently, in person.
So the in-person is once a year. We do a weekend leadership retreat, and we try and hold it in different places each year to represent different areas of the country. But they meet virtually once a month. And usually 1 month they focus on skill building, learning a particular skill like networking or communication or storytelling. And then the other month they're really working on networking with each other and building community. So that's where we'll have former fellows come back and lead activities and workshops so they can really connect. And I think what's nice about our community, what's incredible about our staff, is they know how to engage people. So it's all about small group work and getting people to talk one-on-one, even when you're online, and build those connections, because I think that's where the magic happens.
Yeah. So what are they then telling you with respect to areas where, like, the program could improve on, for example, or or we want to do more of X, right?
Yeah, no, that's a great question, because we just had our youth advisory board meeting last night, and that was one of the things we were talking about. We were doing this strengths and opportunities analysis. Obviously, more money is always, people want more money to implement their projects, and $5,000 is great to start. But we have our senior fellows program where once you've been a Call for Kindness fellow, you can come back and request more funds and be a mentor for the current class as well, and learn about mentorship, and there's another curriculum based around that. So we've toyed with the idea: do we increase that? There's been So what I would say is we've done a lot of thinking about what impact we want to have as an organization. Do we, want to impact the person, the leader, or do we care about whether they're successful with their social impact project? And where we've landed is we care about the leader. We're investing in the person, and the social impact project is really a tool to help them learn to be a leader and to gain those skills to look outside of themselves and have purpose outside of themselves, which we think is core to being a kind leader. So a lot of them go into other fields like business or medicine, but some people want to actually dive more into their project and don't want it to go away when they go to college, and they don't want it to go away when they graduate college, and this is what they want to do. So there's we've been working with some of them, and they want more funding, or they want more resources to be able to keep growing their projects, which is exciting.
Yeah. And so what the impact, and for those who are listening to this later, beautiful job that the foundation has done to put together in their various documents is a theory of change.
Yes.
With all the details in there. You've got the activities, the output, short term, long term. I can imagine those meetings to get this thing down on paper.
Oh, yes.
So read the impact. The impact is that you want people leadership roles in society, nonprofits, community organizations, business, or politics, lead with kindness and empathy. I wonder, are you tracking this? And tell us about those efforts, because it's not easy to do.
No, it's not. It's not easy to track.
What's the time horizon here for this?
So this is a problem we've been really trying to dig into, and we don't have all the answers on it yet. I think this is a problem that a lot of nonprofits struggle with tracking their long-term impact. There's a way to do it by looking at LinkedIn profiles and looking where people end up, by doing alumni surveys, things like that. But you don't get everybody responding, so it's hard to keep up on that. So we're looking at investing in new client relations management systems, new CRM systems to track that, where we can track alumni, track where they're going to college, track where they're going after college and what jobs they're getting, because I think that'll help us with looking at our impact, but it also helps us to keep connecting them. So they have an alumni directory to go to and say, hey, I'm interested in going to this college. Is there a Riley's Way alumni there, and can I connect with them, and can they give me a tour? Or I'm interested in this field. Is there someone in this field in the alumni network that I can talk to and learn more? And we've been doing a lot of that for our graduating classes now, and we just want to continue to expand on that because there's such a huge need and desire to have more of that programming.
Yeah, back to the basics again. Connection. You want
connection. It's all connection.
as much as possible. Especially, that's a lure. And you were telling me you have a lot more applicants, right? The demand is actually very, very high.
Yeah.
And it kind of painful to turn folks away.
Yep.
So I haven't forgotten. We still have one more organizational goal. But that the organizational infrastructure for growth. Tell us, what are you guys doing?
So I think building the organizational infrastructure for growth was really, the first few years, especially when we pivoted to working with teens and young adults, we had to prove our model. We had to prove our theory of change worked. We had to look at the proof of concept for our program. So we put a lot of effort and money and resources into making our programs the best they could be. And we were really successful. We saw the impact of that tenfold. We saw, how a weekend retreat could change the course of someone's life and what they cared about. So we took a step back as an organization and said, well, how do we make us sustainable now? Because we had a very burnt out team. I said last time we were a small but mighty team, but how do we support our team? How do we, make sure as we grow, we don't just take on more and more. We actually have the staff and the capacity and the infrastructure to take it on. So I am proud to say when I came on in 2019, there were 2 employees, 2 full-time employees. We now have, as of next week, we will have 11 full-time employees, which is really exciting. We've built probably 3 or 4 in the last year alone. And it's all positions that help not only build our programs, but build our infrastructure, thinking about development, for example, and looking at other foundations to help build or to help support what we're doing. Looking at other partnerships, corporate partnerships, for example, to help support what we're doing. Looking at building a CRM system and somebody who can manage that data and input that data and use that data in a way that is going to be helpful. I mean, that data is only as good as the person who's looking at it and what you're doing with it. And we don't want it to sit there. We want to use it. So we're investing in that. We're investing in our programs, especially, I hadn't talked about our chapter program, but that's where we've seen a lot of growth in the past 2 years. We had our first college chapter at the University of Michigan, and the chapter program is at a high school or college, and you have a student that maybe has come to our retreat or maybe was a Call for Kindness fellow or in one of our other programs that wants to do more and bring that to their school. And so we've created this program where they can do that. They can create a chapter at University of Michigan and they get funding to work on a social impact project. They get the materials and exercises that we think help build community and help build kind leadership skills. And we're seeing that grow, which is really exciting. So we have a staff person that's just focused on that now and focused on our councils and chapters and really growing that aspect of it. So when you're a small organization, you wear a ton of hats. And I think what we've been able to do in the past 2 years is really, go from wearing 10 hats a piece to maybe wearing 2 or 3 hats a piece.
Small but mighty.
Small but mighty.
You did say that last time as well. Is there a role that you see being critical for the growth over the next 5 years?
A role being critical for the growth of yes, a role we just hired for this year, which is a director of development. We never had someone focused on that before. And I think, we are in a really good spot financially. We have money in the bank. I'm not worried about paying paychecks next month. So we have a growth fund. So I have room to grow. But in order to be sustainable, we have to raise the money each year to meet our operating budget as we grow. So having a director of development focused on bringing in new sources of money, such as foundations or corporate sponsorships, or more individuals who care about kind leadership and want to make a difference is really important. And I think it's also important not just for the funding piece, but for giving people a way to be involved. For giving adults a way to be involved and support this work when they're, not in high school and college anymore. So it's getting more people involved in the movement, which I think is really exciting. So having someone focus on that is going to set us up for success.
Yeah, capacity building, right? Yeah. You need people there to support the growth because you mentioned chapters. That means you managing them, right? Yeah. Well, people fine. You need to manage them. You have a website to change to reports to write. I mean, these are people.
Yep.
Right?
Yeah. They're all people, and we have our existing programs that we have to keep running and running them well. And we don't want to see quality suffer at all. And like I said, we have an incredible team and I am so lucky every day to get to work with this incredible team of people that just, wear their heart on their sleeve. They care about what they do. They authentically show up to work and want to help these young people thrive. And it's no matter whether they're working in finance or operations or they're on the ground in programs. So we just want to keep supporting them. And as I said, we're a kind leadership organization. We have to model that ourselves. And creating that environment where people feel like they can bring their whole selves to work and they can they can thrive and they can grow, and that they can bring new ideas in, and we can listen to them is really exciting. So I think, building our infrastructure for growth, that was critical in bringing in some of those new positions. And also building our youth advisory board. I think that was critical for us as well, to really flip the model and from the ground up bring the community we serve into a decision-making spot. So for example, the last hire we did, we had our youth advisory board members for the second interview do the second interview, and they selected the top 3 candidates, which we had to choose from. So we really kind of walk the walk on that. We want them to have a say in who's going to be working at Riley's Way and how we're going to be growing and how we're going to be operating as an organization.
Yeah. Now, zooming out, of course, I'm talking offline, roughly 15% of your awardees, uh, these kindness fellows, right? You call it, right?
Yep.
Have focused their projects in organizations, right, in STEM.
Yep.
And is that something that you're seeing growing? Tell us a little bit of what you're seeing on that side of that equation.
Yeah, and that's a special passion of mine, being a scientist, and a scientist who always thought it was important that scientists get involved in advocacy and communicating with their communities and civic engagement. And what I think is really cool is from the beginning we've seen a steady influx of projects that are STEM related in some way. Projects that are about increasing representation in STEM fields. Projects that are about increasing communication in STEM fields. We have a project that has a magazine on climate change and teaching youth around the world how to be advocates for climate change in their own community. So the projects really range in what they are. We had an amazing project last year. One of my favorites was called Save Our Salmon, and I recommend you go to their website. It was this incredible young man, Austin, from Washington, Seattle. And he's an artist. He's not a scientist. He's an artist. But he saw a problem with salmon streams getting developed and that impacting the salmon populations, and how most people in their neighborhoods didn't even realize they had important salmon streams along their roadways. So what he started doing was bringing communities together to paint these massive murals to teach the community that about salmon, about their lifestyle and stages, and show people the important streams that might be in their neighborhood. So it was a great way of combining art and science, and that was a favorite project of mine, especially being a former marine scientist.
Of course, and the list is actually quite extensive. You have Girls STEM Academy.
Yeah.
Girls Who STEAM, right? RoboRecovery, another one, Codology, RisingSTEMS, Blooming Seeds. Christine, this is actually quite
It's a huge list, and so many of these projects, like Girls Who STEAM, was about increasing representation for women and girls in STEM fields. And this incredible young woman would just go out and do free summer camps where she'd do fun activities for young girls, like how to make slime and the chemistry behind that, and things like that, to get people interested in science and give them resources that they might not have been exposed to. We had another young woman in Florida who had a STEM program and worked with homeless shelters and worked with kids who were in this shelter system to put on science workshops for them. So it's really exciting to see people out there trying to increase representation in STEM fields, and to increase the impact in STEM.
Well, again, as I mentioned, we can just keep talking all day long. Okay, so as we wrap up here, I want to give you some rapid fire questions. Okay,
Okay.
The goal is to keep your answers short.
All right.
Do you accept the challenge?
I accept the challenge.
Okay, secret superpower that you could say, one word or two of the foundation. What's your secret superpower?
Living and breathing what we are about. So I don't know that.
And let's just keep going on that. If you were to get an unrestricted grant tomorrow, okay, big one, some big number, whatever number you can imagine, where would you deploy the funds first?
I would deploy the funds first into our programming and into our students, and thinking about how we can support them more and support more of them.
in terms of your partnership development, what are you looking for in a partner right now?
We're looking for like-minded partners. So people who care about kind leadership and care about young people. And those two things have to be at their core. So whether it be another nonprofit or a corporate organization that might not work with young people, but they see what we do and they care about those two things.
Okay. And in 5 years, where is Riley's Way Foundation?
Oh, that's a great question. Right now we're in 40 states. We're in all 50 states in 5 years, and we have chapters, college chapters, especially all over the country. And our Call for Kindness is just a nationally recognized program that makes a difference when you go for a job and you see that on a resume, and people recognize it right away and say, oh, I know this person is going to be a great leader. I would love for that to happen.
All right.
And we're on our way.
You're on your way. You definitely are. And we want you back sooner versus later. We have been talking with Christine O'Connell, the Executive Director of Riley's Way Foundation. Christine, looking forward to having you back soon. Very soon.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
That would be great.
Madre tierra, tierra madre, madre tierra, tierra madre, madre tierra, tierra madre, madre tierra.